Hello friends, welcome to Misty Moon Designs. I hope everybody's doing well. Have you ever seen the Northern Lights? I can't say that I have, but I have seen many photos and videos as well. But today you don't have to travel north to see the Northern Lights because we're going to celebrate the beauty by making a necklace that represents the Northern Lights. And we're going to be using the beads that came in Sam's bead box for the month of March. Now, if you're not familiar with that box, I'll leave some information down below along with a link to the website and a coupon code in case you're interested. We're going to take a quick peek of the contents and then we'll dive into today's project. If you want to skip through that portion, you can always click on the timestamps down below. As you can see, this beautiful sparkly necklace features gorgeous amethyst Starcut beads along with some hanging dangles made of Czech glass beads. And although it's a statement necklace, it's actually a little on the petite side, and you'll see at the end of the video when I go to model it for you. So if you're interested in making this beautiful necklace, grab your beads and we'll get started. And here we have Sam's bead box for the month of March 2025. The name of this box is Northern Lights, and I can't believe that they've been around for 4 years already. Now, I have not been doing unboxings for them for 4 years, but I did start in 2022, so it's been about 3 years for me. And guys, I've never been disappointed. They do such a wonderful job of putting these boxes together. It's a monthly subscription, and it goes for $49 a month plus shipping, and it comes packed with high-quality Czech beads, gemstones, and metal components. And instead of me talking about it, let's go ahead and open it up. And look at this. It says, "Thank you for being awesome." That is such a nice little gift. I think it's a mirror, but I'm not sure. Let's see. I'm guessing it's an anniversary gift. Let's take a look. And it is a mirror. Look at that. What a thoughtful little gift. It's definitely going to come in handy. I love that. Thank you, Sam and Rachel. And here's the insert. This is the item list, and as you can see, the retail value is $90. Plus, they also give you the retail value of each item on the left. So that's good to know. Let me pull it out. Wow, look at these beautiful colors. There's definitely an Aurora Borealis in this bag. Lots of beautiful deep blues, some purples, some greens as well. How beautiful are these? Let me get organized and we'll take a look at each item. Here are the first 8 strands. There are 16 strands in this month's box, which is pretty impressive. And a lot of them are gemstones. And of course the glass beads are always Czech beads, in case you're not familiar with Sam's bead box. And look at these pretty colors. I love the combination of the purple and the blue. But I'm seeing some other colors as well. For example, the fuchsia. I'm seeing a touch of fuchsia here and there. And of course some greens as well. And that's exactly what you might see on the Aurora Borealis, the Northern Lights. My son lives north of Seattle and he got to see them last year and he sent me some photos and they were very impressive. They don't normally see them there. It was a bit of an unusual event. But anyway, let's take a look at these. These are melon beads and they measure 8mm in size. And as you can see, there are a couple of colors there, purple and fuchsia. I'm also seeing some clear glass, and there are 16 pieces on this strand. And here we have a beautiful strand of amethyst. These are Starcut amethyst beads, and they're actually grade A, which means they're pretty high quality. They measure 6mm in size, and this is a 10-inch strand. Amethyst is my birthstone, so of course I love amethyst. But look at those facets, guys. These are impressive, they really are. And here we have a strand of table-cut diamond beads. The color is Lilac Mix, and they measure 7.5 by 13mm, and there are 8 pieces on this strand. I love table cut, and these are very transparent too. And here we have a strand of Firepolished rounds. The color is listed as Dark Purple Amethyst AB, and these measure 6mm in size, and there are 25 pieces. Now it's really difficult to see that they're purple, but they really are. Let me see if I can get a light behind them. I'm going to use my iPad light. Hopefully you can see the beautiful purple color. I love these. I also love that beautiful AB finish. And here we have some adorable drop beads. They measure 6 by 9mm, and the color is fuchsia and alexandrite mix. And there's a total of 15 pieces on this strand. These are called twist diamond beads, and the color is listed as Northern Lights Mix, And they're matte, as you can see. They measure 12.5 by 18 millimeters. And I'm seeing some purple and some green. Very pretty. I love how they look as I twist the strand. Here we have a strand of candy jade rounds, and they're painted with gold, as you can see. The base color is royal blue. They dyed, and these measure 8 millimeters in size. And this is a 9-inch strand. And here we have a strand of ruby zoisite. I think that's how you pronounce it. They measure 8 millimeters in size, and this strand is 7.5 inches long. And I do see a little bit of red here and there. There's some red on this bead, and I think there's red on this one as well. These are really unique looking. I love these. Let me get the next 8 strands. And here they are. As you can see, there's lots of variety in this box. There always is in Sam's Speed boxes. You're always going to find all kinds of shapes, sizes, textures, finishes. But what I love about their boxes is that they coordinate a lot of their colors and mixes and finishes. For example, these 2 strands go very well together. They have the same kind of plating. And these have the same colors as the twisted diamond beads that I showed you a few moments ago. Let's take a look at them. In fact, it's a perfect match. Let me see. Look at that, guys. Like I said, they really go out of their way to coordinate the beads. But anyway, these are called curved petal brios, and they measure 8 by 11 millimeters. And here we have another strand of fire-polished rounds, but these measure 8 millimeters in size. The color is listed as Evening Elegance Mix, and there are 15 pieces on this strand. These are called star rice beads. The color is lilac mixed with a silver wash, and these measure 4 by 6 millimeters, and there are 35 pieces on this strand. And they're called star rice beads because they have a little star design on the surface, as you can see, on all 4 sides. I love the shape and I love the size of this bead. And here we have a strand of coin beads. These are actually faceted. They're called fancy facet coin beads. They're fire polished and the color is night sky mix, and these measure 9.5 millimeters across, and there are 10 pieces. Look at that gorgeous plating. Oh my goodness. And here we have a strand of obsidian faceted rounds. They're listed as silver sheen obsidian rounds, and they measure 3.5 millimeters across, and it's a 15-inch strand, so it's pretty long. How beautiful are these? Look at the shimmer. And here we have some hexagon-shaped 6 millimeter beads. The color is jet black with AB mix, and there are 35 pieces on this strand. And you can see why they're called hexagon beads. They're definitely 6-sided, and they have the same finish as these right here. And here's a very pretty strand of coin beads. They're called Starry Night coin beads. They're jet black with a silver wash, and these measure 13 millimeters across, and there are 8 pieces. How cool are these? Very appropriate for this box. And the last strand is a strand of fire-polished rounds. They're faceted, and they measure 4 millimeters across, and the color is lime and tanzanite AB mix. And there are 40 pieces on this strand. It's a nice size to work with, it really is. I like having 4 millimeters as an option. So those are the strands. Let me get the loose items now. And here we have a bead mix, and we have these very interesting looking oval beads. And of course they did a wonderful job of picking up the colors of the box and that mix. Let me slide some on a rod so you can see all the different shapes. I think I have 2 of each on this rod. Of course there are plenty more down there, as you can see. But anyway, as you can see, there's quite a variety. We have some round ones in an 8 millimeter size. We have these bicones, which look about 8 millimeters as well. Then we have these table cut beads in a purple or amethyst color. We have these twisted oval beads, it looks like, or barrel beads. And then we have some little coin beads here in a blue color. We have some elongated bicones right there in a green color. We have these red cubes, and we have these rectangle beads in a beautiful deep blue color. So there's lots of variety, and it's definitely going to inspire me to create something. I love bead mixes. Very, very nice. And let's take a look at these. These are super cool. Look at that. I love that silver wash. These definitely represent the Aurora Borealis, the blues and the greens. And I like that they're transparent too. They're listed as carved ovals, and the colors are cobalt and shamrock green, and they measure 14 by 22 millimeters. These are definitely going to look nice as a focal bead on a necklace or a bracelet. Very, very cool. Let me get the rest of the items. And here we have the last few items. We have some metal components, a pendant, and we have some preciosa crystals. I love preciosa. But anyway, let's take a look at this one. I love this ring. Look at this. It's called a Galaxy ring, and it measures 32 millimeters across. This would definitely make a nice pendant, or you can make a lariat necklace. I think I've seen quite a few people out there making lariat necklaces with it, but I love that effect. They flatten the ring in 6 different places. How cool is that? And look at these. Oh my goodness. These are really impressive. They really are. Now you could make earrings out of these, or you could simply use one as a pendant. They're called Helix drop pendants, and they measure 14 by 44.5 millimeters. They're the same on both sides. I was looking to see if they were curved, but they're not. And they have a nice big loop at the top. Very cool. And let's take a look at this one. Look at the beautiful shimmer. It's so pretty. It's enameled, and it measures 12 by 34.5 millimeters. And there's the back. It's nicely finished in the back. And it's very, very sparkly. It really is. It has a nice big loop too. And let's take a look at these. These are listed as pendants because they're drilled at the top, as you can see. I'm not sure if you can see that. There's the back. You can see it better in the back. And it's nicely foiled in the back as well. Can you envision these as earrings? They would definitely be very glamorous, wouldn't they? I love them. And by the way, the color is light vitriol, and they measure 18 millimeters across. So now I'd like to go ahead and arrange the entire collection on my table so you can see how everything coordinates. And here's the whole collection, the Northern Lights collection. And boy, it really does represent the Northern Lights, doesn't it? With all these colors, especially these beads here, the twisted beads, and these as well. And like I mentioned before, you have a huge variety of beads to choose from. Different sizes, different finishes. We have gemstones, we have glass beads, we have faceted beads, beads with AB finish, and some are matte. We have transparent beads, opaque beads, different sizes, and I love the smaller beads, especially these obsidian ones. But I think my favorite strand has to be this amethyst strand with the Starcut. But these are very unique as well, with the moon and the stars. And if you have time, I'd love to hear your opinion. If you could leave some comments down below, I'd really appreciate that. So now that we've taken a quick look at the contents, let's go ahead and jump into today's tutorial. Here are the beads for today's necklace. We have some gorgeous amethyst Starcut beads, and these measure 6 millimeters in size. We also have some Firepolished rounds, and these measure 8 millimeters in size. And these are actually all of the beads that came in each of the strands. So I think there's a total of 40 of the amethyst and 15 of these 8 millimeter rounds. And we're going to use every single one of them. Now to connect all of these beads, we're going to use some 20 gauge wire. And this color is gunmetal, as you can see. I chose gunmetal because I wanted the beauty of these beads to come through. Sometimes when you use a brighter metal like gold or silver, it takes away from the color of the beads. And since we're talking about the Northern Lights, I figured gunmetal would be more appropriate. But anyway, guys, this necklace comes together very quickly, but it will take some time to mount each of these on a piece of wire. I'm just being upfront with you. Another thing that I want to mention before we get started, it's going to be a little challenging to connect everything. So if you're a beginner, you might have a little difficulty, but if you follow the steps closely, you should be okay. One thing I don't want you to do is to get frustrated. So if you don't get it the first time, just keep trying. But I'll go into more detail later on when we go to assemble everything. Now, before we mount all of these on wire, we're going to create a center connector piece, and I'm calling it a connector piece because that's exactly what it's going to be. Everything's going to connect to the center, and you'll see what I mean in just a few moments. I'm going to cut myself a piece of this 20 gauge wire. This piece measures about 2.5 inches in length. I'm going to grab it at the top like this at about 3/8 of an inch or maybe 1/2 inch, depending on how big you want your loops. Bend it. Using round nose pliers, I'm going to grab the end, making sure that it's flush with my barrels like this, and I'm going to form a loop. You want to make sure your loop is closed, and you want to make sure that it's centered as well. And now I'm going to slide on one of these amethyst beads like this, and I'm going to put it down because we need to create 2 components that we're going to slide on before we finish this one off. This piece measures about 1.5 inches. It's a little bit shorter. Once again, I'm going to grab it at the top at 3/8 of an inch down, bend it, grab the end, form a loop, slide on a bead, close this loop a little bit. There we go. And now I'm going to form a loop at this end. So I'm going to grab the wire above the bead, leaving it a little bit of space so I can create that bend. Bend it. Snip off the excess, leaving 3/8 of an inch or so. Grab the end. Make sure it's flush. And form a loop. I do want to line up my loops. So I'm going to grab them with 2 pliers like this to make sure they're lined up. Let me close this one up again. That's better. So there's one of them. And I'm going to create a second one just like that one. So I have another piece of wire. So now I have 2 of them. So now we're going to slide one onto this piece of wire like this. And we're going to slide the other one as well onto it. Like this. And we're going to slide on another bead. If I can find the hole. There it is. So this is what we have. Let me pull everything down so it's nice and snug. Line up this bottom loop. Although that may actually change later on. I'll have to look at my notes. And now I'm going to grab the wire at the top of the bead like this. Bend it. Cut off the excess, leaving 3/8 of an inch. Grab the end. And form a loop. Make sure my loop is closed. I'm going to grab it and grab the other one and line them up. So there's my center connecting piece. It's really rather simple. This part's actually easy. The difficult part's going to be when we go to connect everything. Now all of these beads are going to be mounted on wire the same way that I mounted these 2, with a single loop at each end. And all of these are going to be mounted the same except for 8 of them. 8 of them are going to be on head pins. And they can be ball head pins or flat head pins. I think I said ball head pins earlier, but I'm actually going to use flat head pins. Let me slide one on, like so. I'm going to grab the pin at the top of the bead, leaving a little space for the bend. Bend it. Cut off the excess, leaving 3/8 of an inch or so. Grab the end and form a loop. Let me straighten it out. These pins are actually pretty tough. Sometimes it's difficult to work with pins that are really tough. But that's what you want. Let me show you. It's just a simple loop at the top of the bead. And like I said, I'm going to need 8 of these total. And the rest of these are going to be mounted the same way that I showed you on these 2 single beads. By the way, in case you're wondering, I never waste these pieces of wire. I usually keep them in a tray so I can use them later on different projects. So anyway, like I said, this is the easy part, and it's actually going to take a while. So in order to speed things up, I'm going to go ahead and mount all of these on wire off camera, and then we'll come back and we'll connect everything. So I'll see you in a few moments. As you can see, I have mounted all my beads on wire. Now these aren't all the 8mm beads. Here are the rest. I'll bring these out later on when we get ready to use them. They're the ones that are on flat head pins, and these have 2 single loops, one on each end. And here's my center piece. We're going to link everything with 4mm jump rings. Now you could use larger jump rings if you wanted to. It would probably make your job a little bit easier. But keep in mind, the larger the jump ring, the bigger the piece will end up being. And I don't want mine to be any bigger than it should. I want to keep it on the smaller side. And since I'm using small jump rings, I'm going to use these pliers. They're called tapered flat nose pliers, and I think this end is about 2mm wide, something like that. I'm also going to use these. These are curved nose pliers, as you can see, and I may even use these. These are needle nose pliers and the tips are straight. So the first thing I'm going to do is to take a deep breath, because let me tell you guys, it is a little bit challenging to connect everything together. But I'm going to start with the top row. So let me go ahead and open up one of these loops. I'm going to slide my centerpiece into it like this. And now let me open up another one. And I'm going to slide it into the same loop. So this is what we have so far. And now I'm going to open up one of these jump rings. And I'm going to slide it into this loop. And I'm going to slide in 2 more. Let me close it up. So let me show you what we have so far. We have the centerpiece, and then we have the top strand, and I also have the beginning of the second strand, which is this component right here. So now we're going to connect the next bead with another one of these hanging down, and I'm going to use a jump ring again. I'm going to pick up my work, slide my jump ring into that loop like this. I'm going to slide a component here like this, and another one like that. As you can see, I have the 2 components hanging off the bottom of those jump rings. That's very important. In other words, you don't want one component hanging down like this and the other one on the opposite side. So let me repeat that again. I'm going to pick up my work and take a look to see where that bottom component is hanging. Slide the loop into the jump ring. Slide a component into the jump ring as well on the bottom side. And now another one. And close it up. So now I have 4 components on the top row and 3 hanging down. I hope you can see exactly what I'm doing. So now we need a 5th bead. We're going to have 5 top beads on this side from the centerpiece over, and another 5 on the other side. So let me open up a jump ring. These are very tiny jump rings. Let me pick up my work, slide my jump ring into the loop, slide one of these onto the jump ring as well. Hopefully I won't drop it. That's the trouble when you're using small jump rings. It does get a little challenging. And now this time I'm going to use one of these. Let me close it up. So that's what we have so far. So far, so good. I'm going to continue working on this side of the necklace, and then after I get done with this side, I'll work on the other side. Let me move this out of the way. Let me open up another jump ring. Pick up my work, slide the loop into the jump ring, and I'm going to slide a component into the jump ring as well. And here's where it gets a little tricky. Let me just move these out of the way so I don't knock them over. We're going to connect these two together, but I'm also going to connect another component to the same jump ring, and this time I'm going to connect a dangle as well. So I'm connecting 4 things, and that's going to be quite challenging, but I'm going to pick up my work and do the best I can. Now I know I want this jump ring to be parallel to the mat, so I'm going to connect this component this way. I hope that makes sense. Same thing on this side. I want the jump rings to be parallel to the mat, so these two are going to be connected like this. Let me see if I can do this without dropping everything. All right, so let me go this way. So I have those two connected. So far, so good. And now I'm going to slide this component onto the jump ring as well. And this dangle. And let me close it up. Let's see if I connected everything properly. And it looks like I did. As you can see, the dangle is at the bottom, and that's what you want. So now these two are going to be connected together, as well as another component and another dangle. So let me open up a jump ring. Pick up my work. Make sure my loops are facing the right direction. Let's see where the other one is. I'm going to slide the loop through the jump ring like this. And now a component. And another dangle. And let me close it up. So that's what we have. We're getting there. And now I'm going to hang one more dangle. Here it is. And I'm also going to connect the center component like this. So these three, this one, and this one, are going to connect to one jump ring, and so is the dangle. Let me go ahead and do that. So I'm going to connect this one, that's the center piece, and I'm going to connect this one just like that. As you can see, this jump ring here is parallel to my mat. And now let me find the third one, which is this one here. I'm going to connect it this way, double check my jump rings. Everything looks good. And now the dangle. Hopefully I won't drop everything. Wouldn't that be terrible after all that? I like to flatten my jump rings to make sure they close properly. Okay, let's take a look. So this is what we have so far. And all my jump rings are parallel to the mat, which is good. That's what we want. I know it's hard for you to see, but you definitely want your jump rings to be parallel. And you can always tell, because if you don't do that, you're going to notice the components are going to be all twisted up and they're not going to sit flat. And mine is sitting pretty flat. So I'm pretty happy with everything so far. And the other side's going to be a mirror image of this side, the exact same steps. So I'm going to flip it like this. And I'm going to connect the top row first, just like I did on this side, with components hanging down, and then I'll connect the second row the exact same way. Now, normally I would just have you rewind to step 1, but since this is such a difficult project, I'll go ahead and repeat the whole thing again with you. Sometimes I do things differently the second time around. So let me go ahead and show you. I'm going to slide my jump ring into this component and hang 2 more. So here's one, and here's the next one. Close it up. Let me double check to make sure everything's hanging properly, and it is. I can't emphasize the importance of that. Let me open up another jump ring. Slide this loop into it. And 2 more components on the bottom side of the jump ring. Close it up. Double check, everything looks good. Let me open up another one. Slide this loop into it. And 2 more components. Close it up. That looks really good. And now we need 1 more. And it's going to be this one. Slide my component into it. One of these. And now this big one. Double check. Everything looks good. Let me show you this next row. I already opened up a jump ring, and I'm going to connect another component to this one right here. I'm going to slide it in like this, and this component, and close it up. So now we have this. Next, I'm going to connect these 2 together, as well as another amethyst component and a dangle. Just like that. Let me open up a jump ring. Pick up my work. Slide this component into it. And the next one, I think I did it right. That looks correct. And now my amethyst on this side. And the dangle on this side. And close it up. And now I'm going to repeat the same thing. I'm going to connect an amethyst component here and a dangle on the bottom side. So let me open up another jump ring. This one's actually a little wonky. Let me get another one. Pick up my work, slide the component into it, check the jump ring, that looks good. And now this one here, that looks correct as well. Slide the amethyst component into the bottom side of the jump ring and the dangle on this side. And let me close it up. Sometimes when you close your jump rings, you may think that it's closed when it's not, and that's one of the reasons I flatten them. Let's take a look. We're almost done. I just need to connect these three plus a dangle. So let me open up another jump ring. Pick up my work, slide this component into it. This is the center piece. And the next one. That looks correct. As you can see, the jump ring is parallel to my mat. And the next one. That one looks correct as well. And now the dangle. And keep my fingers crossed that I don't drop anything. Let me flatten that jump ring to make sure it's closed. And that's what we have so far. Notice how everything laid flat? That's how you can tell that you've connected everything correctly. When things aren't connected properly, they'll be twisting and buckling and doing all kinds of weird things. So now I'm going to hang a dangle from the center piece, and that'll finish the bottom part of this necklace. So I'm just going to open up this loop, slide my dangle into it, and close it up. And there we go. What a pretty necklace this is going to be. I love the amethyst beads with these at the bottom. So pretty. So now we just need to work on the strands, and that's very simple. I'm not going to do the whole thing with you because it takes too long. But basically, I'm going to open up this loop, slide an amethyst component into it, close it, open up this loop, slide an 8mm component into it, close it, and so on and so forth. I'm going to use up all the beads, so the next one will be an amethyst, then an 8mm amethyst, and so on. I'm not going to have enough of the large beads to reach the clasp, so I'll probably just end up with the 6mm amethyst beads at the back of the necklace by the clasp. So let me keep connecting these until I get done, and then we'll go ahead and attach the clasp. So I'll see you in a few moments. Okay, I have my strands connected, as you can see, and I actually had 2 amethyst beads left over, so I could have made this longer if I wanted to. Right now it measures about 16 inches in length, which is perfect for me, but if you wanted something longer, you could definitely do it with the beads that came in this box. But in any case, I'm going to attach an extended chain, and I'm going to use one of the beads to embellish it. This is one of the 2 amethyst beads that I had left over. I'm going to grab the pin with my round nose pliers, bend it, switch to this part of the pin, wrap the pin around the nose of the pliers, flip the pliers around, continue to wrap to the back. I'm going to open up this loop, slide my chain into it, like this, grab the loop, grab the pin, and do a couple of wraps. Cut off the excess. Tuck in the little tail. So there's my extended chain. I have a lobster clasp. It's in a gunmetal color, and so is the extended chain. And by the way, so are the jump rings. I don't know if I mentioned it. I think I might have forgotten to mention it. I have a jump ring here. I've already opened it. I'm going to slide the clasp into it and slide this loop into it as well. And close it up. And now for the extended chain, I'm just going to slide it into this loop. So I'm going to open it up and slide the chain into it and close it. So there we go. So there's my finished Northern Lights statement necklace, fit for a princess. And guys, this is going to look so beautiful outside in the sunlight. It'll be super sparkly for sure. I hope you like it as much as I do, and I hope you make your own. As always, I'd like to go ahead and model it for you, so please stick around for that. Thank you so much for watching. I'm looking forward to seeing you again. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.